Hello, good evening. My name is Sandra S. and I'm Afen and I have the latest business news. Today, two big issues in the business, and we have something on the policy rate and also Cocoa Board going for an additional loan. But first, we want to start from the policy rates, and the Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana has cited favorable economic outlook for the significant reduction in the policy rate. The lending rate was dropped by 100 basic points to 16%. George Yafe has more.
Speaking to journalists at a press conference after meeting to review the health of the economy, the governor of the Bank of Ghana also cited recent banking sector cleanup and inflation rate being within the programmed range as reasons for the reduction. On the Ghana city, Governor Addison maintained that he is not for having a fixed rate, but rather a flexible structure.
We have agreed that a flexible exchange rate system better serves the needs of a country like Ghana, unlike Cote d'Ivoire or Senegal or those countries that belong to the safer zone where they have a peg arrangement with the euro.
Dr. Addison also argued that maybe the time has come to take a second look as to whether NIB should still remain a universal bank or maybe positioned as a development bank.
It currently is operating as a universal bank. We have advisors going there to look at their operations. They may need to look at restructuring the bank. But I think they may even have to look at the model, whether the universal bank model can deliver the type of things that we want NIB to do.
Governor also announced that the Bank of Ghana no longer has interest in terms of shareholding in NIB. Dr. Addison was also optimistic that the expected confidence in the banking sector should be achieved soon following the completion of the cleanup of the banking sector.
By providing liquidity to consolidated banks, they've been able to pay up some of the depositors of savings and loans institutions. They've been able to pay some of the depositors of pension funds and other institutions. And this is why we are saying that the intervention not only protected deposits in banks, it actually also impacted on deposits in the other financial institutions as well.
The governor also challenged reports that the 5 banks that are being supported by the Ghana Amalgamated Trust have not met the new minimum capital requirement of 400 million Ghana cedis. On Heritage Bank, the governor also noted that it stands by its action on that institution.
Meanwhile, economist Courage Mate says he's surprised by the cut in policy rate by the Bank of Ghana.
There's been some gains made over the last 24 months or so. We've seen inflation decline from 15.4 in December 2016 and down to 9.4% at the end of 2018. So there's been over 500 basis point reduction in inflation on that count. We've seen also that we've recorded some improvement in the foreign exchange market. And growth has recovered, but still below expectation. And so on those counts, you would think that you want to move in line with growth and boost growth a little. But it's a surprise because if you look at the current developments on the market, we are still seeing some emerging depreciation pressure, particularly the quarterly depreciation pressure and the uncertainty around foreign investor behavior on our market and how it is telling on the currency stability. And one would think that if you annualize the pace of depreciation we have seen in the first 4 weeks of this year, it calls for reasons to be cautious, and on that count, it came as a surprise to see the reduction. Also on the count of fiscal risk, you notice that the governor stated that provisionally at the end of 2018, the overall deficit recorded a 3.8% deficit on rebased GDP, as against a target of 3.7% of GDP. That means that there was overruns on the overall budget deficit equivalent to 0.1% of GDP. That means something for aggregate demand and liquidity pressure, one that you expect monetary policy to be vigilant and mop up, especially within the context of 2019 budget, which is going to be another expansion in fiscal operations.
We still stay on the policy. The economist Professor John Gashi is equally not too excited about the cut, saying the policy rate reduction will have no impact on the cost of doing business.
Market will not react in any way because we have reduced the policy rate from 26% to 17%. We couldn't record any much gain. So reducing from 17% to 16%, I do not think that there is going to be any extraordinary development in the market. The banking sector reforms have gotten to another phase which we need to pay attention to. The number of banks which are safe and the number of banks which are considered not to be safe and have been consolidated are facing some challenge in terms of liquidity. Those are the things we should focus on. In fact, most people who are leaning towards those banks are having difficulty in terms of access to credit for their economic activity. And unless we restore a vibrant liquidity situation for those entities, we may not achieve what is expected in the overall reform process. So I think we need to look at that.
So in simple terms, what is the policy rate and what does it really mean? I'm here to help you break it down. All right, so I'm sure by now you know what the policy rate is all about. But why is COCOBOD considering a $300 million loan facility to serve cocoa bills just months after securing a $1.3 billion syndicated loan? Chief Executive of COCOBOD, Fifi Boafo, will be joining us when I return in just about 30 minutes for some answers. Fifi Boafo is actually the manager at the office of the chief executive. So when I return in about 30 minutes, we have a conversation on COCOBOD Plus, what's happening on social media, and of course, some commodity news. My name is Sandra Esenam, and I'll be back.